An interesting perspective from all of you, and I think I'll start with a question for you, Torbjörn. You started off by talking about the sustainability agenda. That was a driver for what you do in Volvo. Can you please tell us a little about how you try to balance this agenda and your innovation agenda? So the sustainability and the innovation agenda, and combine that with stating what is your absolutely largest possible challenge at the moment at Volvo Cars.
First of all, I don't work for Volvo Cars, and that was idiots at work, and what you showed. I have nothing to do with that. I have to say that.
Good. No, that's the Chinese one.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, I think it goes... Innovation and sustainability challenge, that goes hand in hand, because that is probably the biggest innovation challenge that we have then, to combine good business with then taking steps then so that we could fight let's say the environmental challenge that we have in front of us. And it's so we could just put ourselves in 2030 and say that we need to have what I just showed on the screen there. At least then 20% of our fleet should have reduced the carbon dioxide footprint per ton kilometer with 65%. If you just create a vehicle like that, it turns the whole system up and down. So we have to understand, how do we go from where we are today then to where we want to be 2030 and be the leader, because we are one of three big leaders in the world and when it comes to commercial vehicles. It's the Volkswagen Group, it's ourselves, and it's the Daimler Group. And we need to be as strong or even stronger as we are today. So the amount of money we put into the combination of sustainability and innovation, we spend roughly 15 billion SEK every single year then in just focusing on that. And a lot goes into being sustainable and then to meet the target. So within that scheme, it's innovation in combination then to really meet the targets. So there is no contradiction. There is no problem then to motivate our people then to innovate around this question.
Yeah. So if that's not a challenge, what is your biggest challenge as you see it for today? Is it to motivate people, or is it to get the full understanding of how the future looks like in your perspective?
Yeah, maybe to get the full understanding how the future looks like, because I've been into the business, as you said, almost 40 years. And every year we say that this is the toughest year ever, and we don't know really how to fix what comes then 3 years ahead. And that is to motivate people, that is absolutely no problem, because the engineering society, they understand the challenge, how big the challenge is, and that is really something that motivates at least the community that I work in, to really solve, let's say, the Gordian knot, which is then combining then good business with sustainability.
Oh, thanks. Patrick.
Yes.
A smart and connected society with 5G, as you showed us. We are looking forward to it, of course, in many ways. But it has, despite having many advantages, there must be a lot of societal challenges, which I suppose that you and Telenor and the others have been discussing for years, if not to say decades. How should we and how can we, as inhabitants in these societies, prepare for these challenges?
Well, first of all, I think there is work to be done for us in the industry to understand better how the development is going forward. So we need to work across the industries now to understand the needs. And then, of course, also we need to educate people of what is coming. And I think all of us in the industry has a role to see some of the challenges that might come up, be it privacy challenges, be it the availability of data that can be used, yes, for a lot of good, but also for bad. So the awareness of that and maybe the selection of a stepwise use of this technology would be my preferred solution going forward.
Yeah.
Just a comment. I mean, if we have autonomous vehicle, let's say take an autonomous truck that needs then good information from the cloud, so to say. Of course, you need 5G then to be fast, because otherwise you can't regulate something. On top of that, you need extremely good cryptographic understanding. Because just think, if you have 1 million autonomous truck out there that are designed then to avoid accidents, all of a sudden, if you hack them and do the vice versa, so to say, it's worse than an atomic bomb. So there is a lot of challenges then when it comes to communication and data protection for autonomous vehicles.
Yeah. And I guess that's not a situation that you can only be solving yourselves in Telenor. You have to have a world spanning cooperation, collaboration, I would get. How do you secure that you're not working out of one set of pre-assumptions?
One way of trying to assure that is to work globally with the other companies, with standardizations. Right now we are working in several European Union projects where we invite people to collaborate with us to understand the needs and also to find those challenges that will come.
Yeah. Claire, as we have mentioned, you bring up the people perspective. It's, especially for us perhaps, it's easy to be carried away by technology, but it's all about people. And I would challenge you to, after what you've heard, what's your main recommendations to Volvo and Telenor in order to make sure that we balance this human versus the machine perspective? If you can choose the first or second one. Yeah.
Yes. Take him first.
Yeah, I mean, I think that for me, that the human perspective is very important, and that's something that, you know, in the nuclear industry, we've been working on the human perspective for a long time, actually, because we realize that, you know, as good as the technology is, we are still talking about, you know, imperfect, unreliable humans using it at the end of the day, or misusing it, actually. And, you know, one of the challenges really is to balance where do we focus our attention, because if you take a very bottom-up point of view, where you go out and you ask individuals on the street, what do you want and what do you want, you do risk actually creating solutions that are only viable for one subset of the population. So it's kind of what you said to Patrick earlier, actually, is that we need to make sure that we do have a global enough focus, but still understanding human behavior. And so that's where I really want to see a closer collaboration between researchers, actually, and industry, because we have the experience and we have the knowledge about how humans actually behave, how they respond to technology, how they interact with technology, and we can bring that experience and that knowledge to the technological developments that are being made. So for me, the key going forward really is cooperation between the different groups, because we all have something to give and we all have an interest in it.
Fine. Torbjörn, any closing
Yeah,
comments?
I'm just thinking, I mean, the human-machine interface, if you have a moving equipment, then it's extremely important. Then we see, of course, distraction right now is a big factor.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I suppose that almost everyone here has a Tesla, but if I have my Volvo, and then you have the touch screen.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to what you had in the past, then if you take the radio, you could look at that and you turned it back and forward and you heard that something went into tune or not. Now you have to look down and then push, and all of a sudden the distraction. So, I mean, at least when it comes to our commercial vehicle, distraction is a big issue going forward.
Yeah.
And by the way, it should be possible. It's very strange that the brakes couldn't then stop the vehicle, because if you take the braking power compared to the engine, it should be completely possible then just to...
Yeah. I agree.
Very strange.
I agree as well. My car must be too weak because I have tested it.
Yeah,
The
you have
brakes are
tested it.
better,
Yeah. So,
what about you, Patrick? Any closing remarks?
No, I'd love to work closer with you.
You'll bring this further on and make closer contact going forward. Yeah. Thank you. A big hand to the panel, Torbjörn, Patrick, and Claire.